Hi, this is Trish Rayburn telling the unfolding story of Blissworks Yoga. So the studio opened in the Dewart building across from the Guard Art Center. Was 300 State Street. And before we opened, though, a friend of mine had surprised me with a party with all my yoga teacher friends, and also hired a tarot reader or astrology reader to come and give everyone readings at the party, which was very generous as well. So the reader, who I love to this day, he did the astrology of Blissworks because we knew when the first class was going to be and what the time was and the date. And so he did an astrological chart for Blissworks. And he did tell me this is exactly what you're supposed to be doing with your life. So that felt very affirming at the time before we even opened. And the other thing he said is, I see art involved. So I don't know how you're going to have art involved, but there's definitely art involved. So I was like, that sounds good. So within a few months of moving into our first studio space, an art gallery was going to open in our entryway. So our entryway, we came from the front of the street, or right across from the Guard, and you had to walk through a space before getting to Blissworks, which was at the back of the building. And so we had like a throughway through this space, and that there was going to be an art gallery in there. It was perfect because people would be walking through the art gallery to get to Blissworks. So I was like, yay, everything's happening just as it is. And it all seemed okay at first, but it turned not so good after a while. Some of the artwork, it just wasn't up to the caliber of art I would have loved to have seen. It was young artists, and it's great. Free expression is wonderful, but they had plaster of Paris penises hanging all over the ceiling, from the ceiling, and a whole little cupcake photos that look like breasts all over the wall. We had children's yoga at the time, and I remember the teacher was like, I'm just a little concerned about bringing the children through here, and it just went from bad to worse, and our relationship didn't go well either. They wanted me to take my signs down off the window and in the back to say where the studio was, and unfortunately the landlord was on their side, so I ended up vacating that building space just 1 year. We were just in our first studio space for 1 year, and then we moved down the street. We hopscotched across the street, and I'll continue the next story on the next video. So stay tuned. See you there.